Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of BorakLAH. And I know it's been a while since we have did an episode, but finally we're back and we got a special guest.
Woo!
A very, very special guest.
Thank you.
Alright. So there's a lot of things to introduce. I think you introduce yourself.
Wait, we got two special guests actually.
Yeah. I know. There's a random fella here. I don't know what is this guy doing here. First time in BorakLAH history we have this kind of guest.
Yeah, I thought I was just hallucinating it. No one else was calling out on it.
I told him that Brian invited me and only me, but he insisted to be here.
He insisted lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to introduce yourself or do you talk? You don't talk?
Oh, no,
No, he doesn't talk.
He's not permitted.
Then what are you going to do in this pod, man?
Dia comel lo gigi satu keluar macam tu.
Yeah.
Maybe you can sit at the corner.
Oh, yo. What's the
Just
time out?
He got put into detention.
He's like, okay, bye.
He's easily distracted, so I think he's just going to probably over time
Okay.
find something else.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, catch you later, man. Does he have a name?
Monster.
Monster is his name.
No,
Monster.
Blue. His name's actually Blue.
Blue, yeah.
Oh, catch you later, bro. Thanks for dropping by, man.
Don't feel so
Okay.
blue.
So we have with us Pierre Pang, the CEO of Mamee Monster. And there's actually a lot of things that you do. Maybe you give us a quick summary or the not so quick summary. We have a lot of time. So what do you do, man?
Hi, guys. I'm the group CEO of Mamee. So I'm the third generation. The business was founded by my grandfather.
Okay.
And for those who understand the Chinese prophecy, this is the generation. Hopefully, I don't take it all down. So that's a quick introduction. Yeah. So if you want a longer one, I don't know if we have time, but
We
that's
do.
a quick.
We do have
Nothing but time.
So funny story, how did this pod happen is because we had this relationship of doing this collab. 2 years ago, we launched a shoe together.
Yep.
And I just wanted to ask, like, this one, because the whole thing happened so fast, I didn't really have the time to ask you, like, what went through your head when you first heard about this shoe, this collab that we we're going to do together?
Yeah, like sneaker
Honestly,
lah.
when Yunyi, our CMO, brought it to me, right, I was like, dude, this is definitely fake, right? There's no way that we're able to collaborate. I mean, this is a company from Malacca, right, which is a small component company. How are we able to collaborate with a brand like A6? And it's something that we've always dreamt, but we've worked with some brands back then, like Uniqlo and all that. But this is like few notches up, and to have the ability to really do something that's never been seen before in terms of design and then from there through the process, the laces that was customized to our wiggly noodles and all that.
Yeah.
Honestly, the first part was disbelief,
Oh, really? Okay.
And then we got introduced to you. I got introduced to you, right? And then we had a whole event in Malacca with all the KOLs and influencers that came, right? It was just surreal, right? We're just a freaking snack company,
Yeah, we
How is
wanted
this
to tell the
possible?
story of like
We're not normally that cool, so we normally don't get these opportunities.
I think what we wanted was nostalgia. I grew up eating the snack, and
Thanks for putting me through college.
Yeah. You said that.
I say that all the time.
That was so funny. You said that during the
Only because it's true.
The press launch.
Yeah,
right?
you do during the press launch where all the KOLs are there. Like you ask a very, very nice question. Like I think I was mind blown by the facts. You asked, who here knows how many packs of Mamee Monster is being eaten a month?
Yeah.
Right. What are the numbers now?
What do you think the numbers are?
I think that time you said like
A month.
A month. Just in Malaysia.
a month. Malaysia alone. I think
Just-
you
Just
said
imagine all the kids eating Mamee. Like, just
I would say more than upwards of 30 million.
Thereabouts. I mean,
Thereabouts, right.
slightly under, right? About 20-ish.
20-ish,
Yeah,
right?
a month.
The whole population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Really,
but the thing about Mamee Monster is also that thing where contohnya kalau you nak buat hamper ke apa kan, you usually will include like a Mamee Monster because it's such an easy divisible snack to a family.
Yeah.
Because one big bag ada banyak itu macam. Yeah, I can see it, but still it's quite an astronomical number lah.
When he tells you the number, you're like mind blown, right?
I think you cannot exactly like register it until you realize like that's almost the population of the whole country.
yeah, 20 million.
I think we got like what 40 million in Malaysia now?
No,
37?
33, 34. I think we're around
Yeah,
there.
it's about that, right?
Yeah.
I think we're very fortunate because this is a business now over 3 generations, right? And it's one that millennials today, millennial parents that grew up eating the product are now enjoying it with their children. You know what I mean? And it's also something when you buy the 10 pack, right? It's like as a millennial young parent, you share it with your child, but you also can share it with your parents. You know what I mean? So it's just a multi-generational thing, Although the majority of our business today actually comes from our potato segment, Mr. Potato. But when we introduce ourselves that we're from Mamee, the only thing you see in your head is this blue monster. Like,
Yeah.
you know? So
You ask him go sit at the side lah.
yeah.
Saya no really masih kat situ tu.
Kesian doh.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be back. Yeah, but yeah, that nostalgia factor is really, really strong, and we're really grateful that this product by accident actually is one that has transcend multi generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you can give us a bit of a history on how your grandfather started this thing. I know the short version is he stumbled upon this thing, right?
My dad stumbled upon it, so I call it an accident of a success.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's actually your grandfather started a company, your dad was the one who like stumbled on this thing. Can you like tell us the story of how it happened?
Yeah, 'cause
in your, like from the insider point of view.
Yeah, and also don't forget to like leave any details that the public might not know, because it might be interesting.
Yeah.
It's quite a well-told story, but let me give it a shot. So the business was founded in 1971, right? And my grandfather's background was actually he traveled out of China as a Hainanese, and typical of
You're
all
Hainanese?
I am half. My mother's Hokkien.
Same.
Yeah, I speak, bro. I speak Hainanese.
I cannot. I bongkang. I bongkang.
That's where the similarities end lah.
Yeah, that's it. That it ends there. My dad's Hainanese, my mom's Hokkien. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly similar. So when he landed, actually he went into the kopitiam business lah, typical of all Hainanese, right? Hainanese coffee. And during that period, he actually didn't have the funds to actually outsource the maintenance of his fridge, right? So he dabbled upon it and had some technical knowledge. And then next opportunity come, he got introduced into the buy and selling of secondhand cars. And during that period of that business, he also maintained his own cars, and also he do the the servicing himself, and then again he honed his technical knowledge. And then eventually he met some Taiwanese, and the Taiwanese essentially brought in the opportunity to, hey, why don't you get into the business of instant noodles, right? This thing is really blowing up in Japan, in Taiwan, and all that, right? And Malaysia is going to be big as well, right? So being the entrepreneur that he is, right, he dropped everything, divested everything, and went all in on instant noodles.
Wow.
But the first brand wasn't Mamee, right?
Yeah.
So guess what the first brand was?
Does it still exist?
No.
Oh.
I do know this because we were at the factory, but I can't remember.
Oh, it was the first one we saw, right? It was like
Lucky noodles.
Lucky
Yes.
noodles.
Yes.
Thank you,
Lucky
Victor.
noodles. And what he learned very quickly is that you can call yourself lucky, but does not mean you will be lucky. So that business thing, long story short, instant noodles was just way ahead of its time, right? You sell at about 20-30 cents per piece, may sound like it's very cheap, but at that point, you can go to the roadside and get a wonton mee, for example, for 50 cents, right? So fresh, full meals were very affordable back then, right? And ultimately, instant noodles was one that provided convenience, but it was just too much ahead of its time. So it was very challenging at the early days, right? So my dad helps out in the factory in the morning. In the afternoon, he have to pack up the lorry and drive out to do
How
sales.
old was he at this point?
He was in his 30s.
30s already, okay.
So he had to do everything, like Cantonese they say yak tech, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do everything. Morning you report into the manufacturing, and then you pack up the stuff and you drive the van and go out to do sales, right? And what he always shares was that he will go out with 100 cartons and come back with 120 cartons. Because people are returning products. So it was really, really tough, right? And driving around the outskirts of Alur Gajah in Melaka, around the rubber tapping estate, what he saw was some kampung kids actually consuming these instant noodles direct. And actually you technically can, because all instant noodles are actually steamed and then deep fried. It's fully cooked already. And what gave him the inspiration was essentially, if people are already eating it, if instant noodles is early in this time, maybe as a snack it's totally differentiated and there's an opportunity for it. So he went back, spoke to my grandfather with his technical knowledge. My granddad, he changed the process. So Mamee Monster's process is just slightly different from regular instant noodles. After you steam the noodles, before you fry, you actually dunk it in chicken soup, right? That's how it gets its flavor. Then you deep fry, and that's how it's pre-flavored. That's the only difference.
Wow,
right?
okay.
And then everything else positioning, right? Deciding that if it's a snack, he's going to target the kids, and that's how he created the Blue Monster.
So how did he come up with the idea of a monster?
Yep. So two parts first. The first part was naming, right? Why Mamee? So my granddad thought long and deep about this, and ultimately, he wanted a name that everyone can pronounce, whether it's a kid or an adult, whether it's any race, right? And the insight he had was like, all babies, regardless of race or anywhere, any baby around the world, the first word is always mommy, not daddy or anything else.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So
true.
that was quite interesting, and therefore he gave the name Mommy, right? And then my dad took it to the next level where he decided that, hey, this is going to start with a kids product, and therefore how you stand out and how you get visible is if you have a mascot, right? And that's where the Blue Monster came into effect, lah. So Mamee Monster.
Wow.
Damn. That.
The Lord.
Yeah.
Like to think,
Good. This one good. Good
yeah,
story. This
like
one.
to think like mommy, you know, like the first words, like how do you even come out with that, you know?
Yeah, for you to like put it into such a simple terms, but I think that's many decades of hard work.
Yeah.
I think there's some lessons. I mean, if we go back and just focus on that period, right, and ask ourselves what lessons have we. I mean, right, entrepreneurship is tough, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like what I always tell everyone, no matter what I do in my time, it will never come close to what the early founding members did, you know. So first and foremost, like at the brink of, imagine my granddad had 6 kids, they were still in high school, right? You have to worry about feeding them. You have to worry that you have a factory that you sell 100 cartons, 120 come back. You have the bankers who are not willing. Banks only lend you money when you don't need it, right?
Yeah.
Banks don't lend you money when you need it, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, there was a cash crunch as well. You have to worry every day about how do I pay my supplies, how do I pay my staff, how do I pay my people, right? So the amount of stress that they had to go through, my granddad and my dad at that period, and the fact that you still have to constantly push through, you know, I think there's a lot to learn from there. And the other part really is like, sometimes in hindsight is beautiful, right? Because sometimes you just wake up and think, a brand like a name like Mamee sounds obvious enough.
Yeah.
But then in the 50 years, 55 years in, right, you look back and say, wow, that is genius, right?
Correct.
So I guess the lesson there is sometimes genius comes with just the simplest things.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that we take for granted. You know?
Yeah.
We have a conversation here, you know, and we get an idea. But little do we know that this idea could be so powerful and magical years down the road. You know? So the simple things I think really matters with time.
I think sometimes we are like, oh, that's too simple. It's not gonna cut it, you know. But I think sometimes we are so critical of our own ideas. No lah, that one too lame, too
We
simple.
tend to overthink.
I think we're always looking for the like greatest name or I think.
We're trying to like you know, like we
overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Incidentally, from like a third party perspective, because I wasn't part of that collaboration you guys did, I've been in the sneaker industry for a while, like the streetwear blogging for a while. I think that was actually, definitely my top 3 best activations I was ever part of lah. Where you actually took us all in a bus to go all the way to Malacca.
The best part was that I don't know if you know this, but the KOLs did not know until 2 days before that they were going to go to Malacca.
Yeah, they didn't tell us.
How much trust do they have in you guys, man? We're going to take you somewhere, I just don't know where.
We just told them, block this time from this time. We're going to be taking you somewhere. It's a secret. We can't tell you. And when we approached them, we didn't even tell them it was going to be a collab with Mamee because we didn't even announce anything yet.
Yeah.
So the thing was, I knew beforehand because of course I was part of the podcast, so I get some privileges lah, some inside info. Right? And then I was in the bus, and it didn't occur to me at that time that no one else knew. So I was next to Snooze and Doos, an Instagram from Hanif from Snooze and Doos. Right? I was sitting next to him on the bus, and he was like, "Actually, where are we going?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought we were going to Malacca." He looked at me like, "Serious?"
Nobody knew. So they were like, "Oh man, so early. What are we doing here?" And then we kidnapped them lah.
Yeah,
it's awesome, man.
They kidnapped them, but I think we always, when we try to do something, we always think about the consumer journey.
Correct.
And it's very important. Like if you are talking about nostalgia, if you are talking about brand, and we are talking about Mamee Monster, we want people to understand how it's made.
Yeah.
So very early on, I told your marketing team, we have to do this tour. And your marketing team was like, man, that is kind of difficult, you know, because you have to go all the way down to Malacca. And I was like, no, bro, we gotta make it happen. So kudos to your team. They really like help us. And then they also help with like doing all that tour things. They even have multiple teams to like, okay, so many people, right? So they have to do many batches of the tour. But I think once people understood how it's made, I think it really helped to see the scale of it, because a lot of people, they just look at this small little packet, but they don't know how much effort goes into making this thing, you know, until they...
I don't think it's just the effort, like how many Mamee is produced at that one time. Like it's just continuously being produced. Like,
but it really stuck with me. Like your speech at the press conference, you started off with that. So it just, I was mind blown. I also didn't know.
Yeah.
And then coming back to that, you said, close to 30 million. I was like,
Yeah. And we got to see the factory as well. It's like, it was so clean.
yeah.
I've never saw the production line before. So I remember asking the person who was guiding us through the tour. I was like, so is this the actual one or is this just the one you let us see?
This is the wayang one.
Yeah, this is the wayang one. Was it? And then like, oh no, this is the actual one. I was like, no way, it's so clean.
That's why it was quite hard to do that tour. So they were like,
Actually, I remember the biggest challenge was that because KOLs, they like to film everything, right?
Yeah.
So we had to keep their phones for that factory part.
Yeah.
That is, you can view with your eyes, but you cannot take video and pictures inside there. You remember lah? They told you not to, right?
It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But then I remember something like that. Because I remember as content creators we were like, they brought us all the way here to film stuff. They suddenly cannot film.
Cannot. Yeah, but I know some of you all did lah, secretly.
Sometimes we are quite resourceful lah.
All's good.
But it was not published lah. It was not published.
No, all good.
But the thing is, even those noodles, they're kind of like brittle and all that. But I think all of us, we were just, trying to be so high people. Were looking at the floor and all that. God, no, noodles. There was no noodles on the floor.
Yeah.
Even though everything was brittle, the floor was spotless. So I was like, wow, not bad, huh?
I think that's that whole ISO thing, right? Cleanliness and all that.
Yeah, the thing with manufacturing is ultimately, what are your priorities, right? I mean, beyond the brand, it is about trust. And trust comes from our responsibility of producing every pack every day flawlessly in regards to quality, halal, food safety, etc., even when we're not being watched. That's why we were quite comfortable in opening up our factories for people to come and visit, because that's the high standards that we have to hold ourselves towards, right? Whether people are watching or people are not watching, right? Quality cannot be compromised. And how you can do that, it's investment in, of course, technology, investment in processes, and also investment in, various functions like quality assurance and various testings, to ensure that things are always tip top. Right?
So how many factories do you have?
We have 5, basically one in Malacca, one in Kuantan that does a beverage, one in Subang, although we're expanding into 3 times the size within the next 12 months.
I've seen the Subang one.
Yeah, so we bought the next 2 buildings next door, and we're turning them to manufacturing facilities.
Also, the HQ that we always visit, you're going to expand it.
Correct, triple the size.
Wow, damn.
Then we have one in Indonesia, Jakarta.
Okay.
One more in Myanmar, in Yangon. And we are right now looking into Turkey for almost and also US.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why Turkey?
World domination lah. What else, bro?
Because the thing is that we
Different kind of world domination.
America, I mean, many people don't know this, right? First and foremost, like I say, when you hear about Mamee, you think about, okay, Malacca company, local company, all right? We think about Mamee Monster, right? And that's pretty much a lot of people's imagination of us, right? But a lot of people don't know that 60% of our business, we are, give you a bit of chronology of the timeline. The business was founded in 1971, and up to 2019, pre-COVID, we had a revenue of about 780 million ringgit, right?
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. So for 48 years, between 1971 to 2019, we had a revenue of about 780 million ringgit. From 2020 to 2023, we doubled that to 1.5 billion, right?
In 3 years?
In 5 years.
5 years, sorry.
Right? And right now we're on track, and our goal is that by 2030, about 5-6 years in, we will double into 3 billion. Yeah. And the last 5 years of doubling largely came a lot outside of Malaysia, right? And it is markets like America. We ship 80 over containers, 40 footers every month into America.
Wow.
We ship over 100 containers to Turkey every month.
Oh, okay.
And at a certain point, when you're shipping nearly 1,000 containers every month out of Malaysia, it's fantastic. But the problem is also that with the volatilities that we face today with the war and all that, right?
Yeah.
Freight costs, the predictability. Because when you're in FMCG, when you're on the shelf, you have to be on the shelf. Consumers going to walk in and then you have an excuse to say, oh, we're out of stock because the product is stuck somewhere in the straits of, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, reliability is very important. And when you run a global business like ours, over 90 countries, the complexity rises over time. But the other part really about FMCG is that it's very hard for someone buying 100 containers every month to give you a PO and get their product only maybe 120 days later. In a fast-moving consumer good, right? That doesn't really work. So once you have built scale like that, right, the next natural thing to do is to localize production. And one major benefit as well is that, for ESG reasons, right, you don't want to be shipping thousands of containers all over the world from one point, because it's not the most environmentally friendly as
Yeah,
well. You know?
correct.
So therefore, local production in Turkey to serve all of Europe and Middle East, local production in America to serve all of North America, right, is the way to scale up to the next level.
Okay. So with that said, you told us like it's shy of 30 million in Malaysia in terms of packets per month. What about the world?
The world is not much more than that. So again, like I said, right, the perception is that Mamee, this 1.5 billion ringgit in revenue, right, is like majority is like Mamee was all around the world, right?
Yeah.
So actually, Mamee Monster is only about 20-ish% of our group's revenue.
Okay.
Right.
The rest of it is Mr. Potato
So-
and all the other brands that
correct.
you.
So what you see in the canister, Mr. Potato Crisp, we call it, we are the second largest in the world in volume after Pringles. Right?
Oh,
So a lot of people don't know
is
that, right?
Crazy.
That's a crazy fact right there.
Yeah, because we sell we make it very cost efficiently,
Yeah.
right? So I'll give you an example, right? So I cannot name brand names, right? But 20 years ago, right? Basically, an American product in a canister will come and land on our Malaysian shores, right? And they'll probably be selling at about 15 ringgit per canister, right? Very premium product. But ultimately, with snacking, it is a mass market product. But if you, the deeper of the mass you penetrate, the biggest function of that is pricing.
Correct.
You price $15
Nobody's
per
not buy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Too
I mean,
expensive,
correct,
especially
right?
for a snack.
Exactly, right? So
Becomes a
ultimately,
luxury. Yeah.
correct. So I mean, if you go to the streets today, right, you can pick up our product at 3 ringgit 20 cents for a promo, etc. Not because our quality is inferior. In fact, the amount of potato within our product, because it's formed in a dough and then after that cut and fried and therefore stackable, right? We have over 60% of the base product is potato, where some of our other competitors are significantly lower, right?
Oh.
You'll be able to know when you look whether a certain product calls itself a potato snack or not. Because if you don't have enough potato, you're not allowed to be called a potato snack, all right? So what we learned over time is that why Mamee's in business today is we take premium products and make it very affordable via our efficiencies, right? And our scale today. And we pass on a lot of the savings.
Yeah.
Mamee is not in the business of super high margin products, but low scale. We are the opposite, right? So we go for big scale, and therefore that allows us for a lot of efficiency. Why we're building the next two, why we bought over the warehouses the next two doors away from our office in Subang is for us to turn that into the next generation manufacturing plant where we're spending 400 million ringgit in automation.
Okay.
Right? So we squeeze. The one thing my dad always said, Tercipta, our chairman today, is that money is everywhere on the floor. When I first joined the business, I was like, he said, money waste on the floor. You need to learn how to pick it up. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? You know what I mean? But being more mature in the business, I realized is true. That the number one competitor is not your competition, whoever they are, whether a local company or international company. It is yourself. Wastage is everywhere. So one thing running a business is easy thing to do is, if my costs go up, right, pass it on, right?
Yeah.
But there are repercussions to that as well.
Yeah.
The more expensive you are, the lower the volume.
Quantity.
Yeah. Right. So with that, right, over time I've been in business for over 20 years right now, right? And we've been trained in Mamee. Our culture really is that we really see the biggest enemy is wastage.
Okay.
Yeah. So across the whole company, the reason why today I'm more active also in putting the brand out there and all that, right? Doing more podcasts, doing more content and all that is because we need to find efficiencies also in marketing, right? Gone are the days where you just buy endless amount of ads hoping that, the efficiencies of the ad performance is going to be strong, all right?
Yeah.
So
People want to be attached to they want to feel the emotional attachment to the person, the product as well, which is attached to a person.
Yeah.
So, initially you just a few moments ago, you mentioned something about, the war, price hikes, petrol. We live in Malaysia, we're quite blessed, but the rest of the world, we are not so, it's not so blessed as well. How does that affect your business? I mean, you talk about a global business. I mean, right now it's
Turkey,
1.5 billion and you ship so many all over the world.
Yeah.
So how does that affect your business and the challenges that you face, and what is Mamee doing as a company to handle that lah?
Yeah. So for us, as what I mentioned earlier, our DNA is really all about efficiency, right? Right. And ultimately right now we're pushed into doing more, right? So across board, from our marketing aspect, we are questioning how can we be more efficient, right?
Yep.
When we look into manufacturing, like I mentioned, we're investing. We're lucky because we're grateful that last year we managed to raise some money. We sold 10% of our business to KWAP, right? And we raised we raised about 450 million. Where right now we are investing all of that into efficiency. Because our belief is that while cost is going up, there are ways that we can find money on the floor. That's what my dad says, right? And one part of it is how in the past where one machine, right, can churn out, say, for example, 35 containers per month of worth of products, right? Right now, and it uses about 54 manual labor.
Okay.
Right? So just put the number, 35 containers, 54 people. The new technology, the highly automated German technology, we can nearly double the output from 35 to 65. But instead of doubling the workforce, it's actually half it.
Wow.
So double output, half the workforce, right? So you can see from that's one form of efficiency. But not enough, right? In the manufacturing front, we go deeper. Labor productivity is one big part because minimum wage is only going to go up.
Yeah.
And I am a proponent for that. Because it's an economy, if you want to be a developed market, right, you have to have
Jobs.
a good baseline of quality jobs.
Yeah.
And therefore, minimum wage cannot always be 900 ringgit like it was a few years ago. Right? So it's projected to go up. So we have to be ready for it, and automation is the answer. The second part is energy, for example. A lot of people say, okay, I put solar on the roof. Yeah, we put solar on the roof, we max it out, right? You've been to our factory. I mean, it's big and we max it out, but it only generates 20% of the electricity that you need. What about the 80%?
Yeah.
So one thing we learned, we dug deeper and we realized that, hey, when you on your electricity in the morning, right, it is more expensive than if you use it at night. A lot of people don't know that. So what we do is, right now, we bring in industrial battery packs. We use the cheaper energy at night when everyone's sleeping, right? We charge it so that in the morning, these battery packs can use to fire up the machines.
Wow.
So
talk about problem solving.
yeah. So once you have scale as well, right? We look at the canister and we say, we look at the canister and we say, hey, what more can we do, right? Because like I said, the easy thing to do always is let's just pass on this cost.
Yeah.
So ultimately,
You brought gifts.
brought gifts, like we're here to feed.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you, Blue.
So you're talking about a product like this, right? With that is already 1 to 5 gram. By the way, our competition is about 1 or 2 gram, and we are per pack cheaper, although we're giving 25 gram more. But during promotion, we've an additional 20 gram more. It's now 1 for 5 gram, right? And ultimately, we ask ourselves, looking at this, okay, we have optimized the labor part, the energy part, what else? Hey, why don't we make our own canister? Because canister is like 30% of the overall cost.
Wow.
So we just relentlessly keep banging every day in terms of how do we squeeze out more efficiency so that we don't pass on this cost to the consumer. So when you have that mindset every day throughout the whole organization, I've just given you some examples around manufacturing. But when you think like that across marketing, across sales, how do I distribute this at the most efficient cost possible? When the whole organization focuses on that, right, it compounds, especially. So the goal always is that, and the temptation is that, hey, you put in all this effort, you put in all this investment in all these machines, any incremental margin should be yours in the pocket.
Yeah.
You deserve it, right?
Like what your dad said,
right?
money on the floor.
Yeah, put in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
Or you can look and say, wait, all the big multinationals from Europe, from US and something, they price up, ikut lah. Nobody's going to blame you because everybody knows war, right? And cost has gone up.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it. That is a temptation that we normally avoid as much as we can. Because if we can take it and put it back into the affordability, and we are transparent in our communication that we're not cutting corners to give you these savings, we believe that over time we form trust. And the business that we are, I mean, this is 55-year-old, 3-generational business, and measure of success for me is that if this goes to 100 years old. Now, whether I'm here or not to see it, I'm not sure. But the goal really is that we have to protect the trust of the consumers and basically be honest about the work that we do. And hopefully with that, then we can build a long-term generational business.
Damn, man.
Very good.
That's so good. That's so good.
Aku rasa jarang.
Whoever is watching this, I would like you to bang in 50 ringgit. That was a crash course in CEO.
I think
so much wisdom in whatever you're telling us. I think
Jarang kita ada podcast guest yang memang aku macam duduk macam dengar je. Oh.
correct. I think it's good as well because we have like a lot of young people watching and also older,
Yeah.
and a lot of people who want to start like local brands, you know,
Yeah.
for example. So I think you can even apply this to local brands. like you said.
I'm also very intrigued. If you said apply this mentality to even marketing and social media? Like, what are you guys planning to do? I don't know whether you want to reveal, but I'm pretty sure you had your discussion with YY and the rest of the marketing team.
I think the video he posted yesterday as well.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure you're also very deep in AI and all that. So like, do you have anything you want to say about that, about marketing, social media, and how AI plays a role?
Yep. So I'm the type of guy that I'm a bit fanatical in terms of being very obsessed in the thing. When I catch on to something, I get very obsessed, right? So again, I may be built differently from many other CEOs or professional leaders and all that, only because I have this deep fear within that this thing cannot end with me. You know, third generation, as you know, right? Chinese prophecy.
They
right?
always say,
It ends here, right? So what drives me, my siblings and my cousins, etc., in this generation is it cannot end here. And you notice that I never call ourselves a family business. I use a G word, generational business. And why there's a stark distinction between family and generation business is that a generation business is one where today we are not inheriting it, but we are just caretaking it to pass on to the next generation. So therefore, we must do the best with what we inherit, make it better, and pass it on. But a family business is the word family is one where you're born into a family. Even if I don't like you as a sibling or something, right? I cannot unsibling you, right? I mean, like you are tied by bond, by blood, sort of thing. So that the idea that family business is dangerous to me is that you cannot have the mindset that you're born into this and this is your job for life, irregardless of capability, right? So ultimately, we have the mindset that we're here to be guardians of this legacy, improve it and pass it on, right? And therefore, I say that the true testament of whether we're successful or not is whether this company excels up to 100 years old and still thrive or not, right? So therefore, clearly we have to think a lot about how technology and AI impacts us. Just now I shared a lot about how robotics, automation, all that will make us more efficient. Very good. Take that savings, don't put in your pocket because that's be very short-term thinking. Reinvest back because you want to build your gap further and further away from your competition. Right? Not get that gap, get the gains and then put in your pocket, chill. Right? So if you constantly reinvest your gains into better value, better quality, and better work, right, then you give yourself the best chance of succeeding in the long term. So let's go back to AI. So today, in a world that is so complex, we've decided to break our company up to 5 parts. All right?
Okay.
I call it the idea framework, IIDEA.
Yeah.
The first I is on intelligence. As part of efficiency and not have high wastage, your decisions must be guided by intelligence. So today, we have a dedicated team reporting to me on intelligence where we study what is happening in the trade. We call it trade intelligence, right? Supermarket, convenience store and all that. What competition is doing, what we're doing and all that.
Your own CIA lah.
Pretty much in the trade aspect.
So Mamee CIA.
Correct. We have one team just focused only on consumer. And using AI, what it works is like tonight when we go to sleep, right? The AI agent that is built internally has already scoured what everybody's talking about, right? Based on the social media listening tools that we have, as well as the AI agent will pick up in terms of what conversations are people currently talking about.
Wow.
So why today we're doing all these promotions? So I think because in the last 3 months, right, it's just blaring out loud that everybody's worried about inflation, kosara hidup, and all these things. So we cut out everything that we do and we focus all in on a value campaign. Only because the data is guiding us that, look, Malaysians are not talking about anything else. I mean, aside from politics, it's always there, right? People are worried about, because of the war,
the rising
kosara hidup, rising costs, etc. So we all in on that. So every night when we wake up, we have a dashboard, right, to tell us this is what consumers are saying, this is how loud they're talking about this, these are the articles in any part of the world that we focus on, that these are the concerns of consumer, and this is what Mamee should do about it. So not just telling you what is being said, the AI tells us this is what you should do about it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So basically, we know on a daily basis our social media strategy, what to do based on what people are talking about. Because the fundamental belief internally for us in marketing is, it's not our job to create topics of conversation or trends. Let's write on trends. You know what I mean? So our job is not to create trends, but to write on trends. So therefore, you really need to know what people are saying. And the beauty about AI is like every morning we wake up with this dashboard to tell us exactly this is what you say, this is what people in Kelantan are thinking about and saying based on their social media, right? And we pick out all these keywords and we craft messages around it, all right? So that's one on marketing. But that also now feeds, the intelligence also feed towards our second I, innovation, which is tremendously important, all right? So for example, multinationals may take 3 years to develop a new product. They may have an idea. They might have to go to regional office in Hong Kong, then have to go to Switzerland or whatever it is, ding, ding, dong, dong, do consumer research sorting, and suddenly, by the time you develop, 3 years is gone. You know, the world is moving so fast, you cannot work like that anymore.
Yeah.
So, Mamee, one of the advantage why we've been competitive all this while is our innovation cycle is about 12 weeks. 12 months, right? We can get the product out from brief ideation to product out in the market, 12 months.
That's very fast, right?
Correct.
In manufacturing.
Yeah. But today, we're pushing the boundary to 12 weeks.
That's
right. So if today the AI tool when I wake up in the morning tells me that I'm Gepok is trending, bro, right?
Yeah.
I look at my team and say, in 12 weeks, I need to see this on shelf. You know? Because our job again is not to create trends, but we need to ride on trends. You know what I mean? But we are fast enough, all right, that ultimately that is your competitive advantage. All right. So that is the second I, that intelligence feed into the innovation. And then the innovation feeds to the distribution. And we distribute, we sell to over 80, 90 countries all around the world, right? We're in Walmart, we're in Don Don Donki in Japan, we're in Coles, Aldi, Woolworth in Australia, we're in Mercadona in Spain, we're here in Malaysia, Thailand, everywhere, right? So once you have that intelligence of what product to innovate, you create the innovation very quickly, right? And ultimately you can distribute it. And with distribution, you see, maybe a bit of pointers for people who are entrepreneurs or start their own business. Everybody overthink. We talk about that.
Yeah.
You overthink and think, this product, how do I make it perfect? This and that. Then only I launch. That's the worst way to ever launch anything. Right? So I talked about 12 weeks. You want to do a product that is good enough, but don't have to be perfect. In 12 weeks, you get this Ayam Gepok flavor up. So, okay, before that I track back, you get this insight that Ayam Gepok is trending. You maybe bring in someone like expert like Ming Chun, for example, right? You know what Ayam Gepok tastes like? Come into our lab and co-create with us. We spend 3 weeks together in the lab, and we pump out maybe 500 cartons. These 500 cartons don't go to the main shelves because you go to 7-Eleven, whoever it is, everybody want to talk about money. Pay me to get in the doors. You take this and you say, let's bring a few KLs, let's bring Brian Chin or something, let's sell this on TikTok, right? You just do a live, right? And you sell this, and these 500 cartons will sell, and ultimately you get real feedback from real paying customer. Because if you can give this to your grandmother, your sister, whoever, to say set up or not set up, they probably lie to you and tell you, hey, actually set up, right?
Correct.
But what you want is real paying customers. And if the feedback is good, you take this to a 7-Eleven of the world, Lotus or whatever retailer, and tell them, look, based on my data, people love this stuff, right? And ultimately, you can get into those stores with a lot more value, cheaper to get into those
with
stores.
actual data.
Correct. And that fits into your distribution. And then next comes your basically efficiency. We talk about it having a very efficient manufacturing plant. And then comes attention. So IIDEA, A is the most important part to me. How are you able to garner attention in the world of social media today without fully relying on ad dollars? Right. So this is something that you guys are really good at. It's something that legacy companies like us have to be good at, because we cannot just fully rely on ads only. So that's why we are reinventing our total marketing team, where right now we're really going deep into internal content production. We fully stopped. We spent 2 million ringgit a year in outsourced agency fees. We scrapped all of that. We brought in the whole team, and we're building everything organically from internally based on the insights that we have from our AI systems, all the way down to the whole ecosystem of the idea framework I talked about.
So basically everything is in-house already. You're trying to go in-house. Everything within control.
I think not fully in-house, because ultimately the reality is that we still have to collaborate with many others. So that's why, like with you guys, with various other KOLs, with various other brands, right? The core of our DNA is collaboration. But what we want is to have control over the strategies and the creative ideation and all that. All those done in-house. But execution is outsourced. For example, yesterday we launched some work with KS, on Keluarga. Today I'm here, and we have a lot more other content that we'll be lining up. So we're just trying to be relevant in culture.
Okay. I just want to get your opinion on something, which is, in this day and age, everyone's going online, selling TikTok, Shopee, whatnot.
Live selling.
But also at the same time, Mamee, Mr. Potato is a very traditional business. You guys are everywhere. Distribution, you mentioned just now. So, how do you juggle between, what is your opinion in terms of online versus real life?
If I can track back, last 2 years, I spent a lot of time in China because we were shit scared less, right? about the disruption from China, right?
yeah.
We've seen it all over.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They
So
have malls just doing
correct.
live.
Exactly,
yeah.
right? And then you see how it disrupt retail and all that. And that's one thing that we're quite concerned about because we are a dinosaur, right? So to speak, 55 years in. And when I was in China, a lot of these young online FMCG companies were very welcoming of us. And I was quite funny. You guys are the rock star, right? We should be the one really excited meeting you. Why vice versa? What I learned was that it is, I won't say easy, but it's generally easy to create the hype. You just need a few things. You need a decent product. You need some money, whether you pay KOLs to talk to you or buy ads or whatever it is, and you can get that virality very quickly. But a lot of them, 95% die off.
Oh.
Why? Because the reality of, I speak about FMCG, fashion or lain.
Yeah.
95% of all FMCG purchase is still in the offline world.
Yeah.
Now, if your business started with hype, we all know hype don't last forever.
Yeah.
And the second part is you cannot continue to buy TikTok or Facebook meta ads to sustain. It's getting more and more expensive. So the trick really is right now, use online to create the virality, to create initial fame, but quickly pivot to offline to have a balanced strategy between the online and the offline world, right? Because 95% of grocery purchase is still happening offline. So you need to be visible, especially for snacking. It's an impulse product. I don't plan to buy, but when I see, I get triggered, I buy.
Yeah.
So therefore, right now, a lot of these big online companies right now are racing to get into offline world. So you have brands like in the skincare, Skintific, for example, are doing very well. You know, right now they're in like the Watsons, the Guardians of the World, etc. So you can start online. It's the most efficient way, but to sustain long term, you need to get offline. So that's where today, Mamee's whole legacy was built in the offline world. I have to say that we're not great online. We're learning it, but the beauty is right now, us having joint ventures or partnering online first brands will be the way forward for both parties.
Yeah. You say you're learning online. So can you share a little bit of what you learned in terms of like this online thing? Like what I mean, you mentioned you have this AI machine that's helping you, the voice, what people are talking about. You spoke about virality and you're talking about learning about online. Maybe you can share a bit to our audience. What have you learned about Malaysian audience? What have you learned about online? You know, like social media, marketing, online.
Okay, a few key trends. One, in the past, I mean, the day when I started in advertising, all right, and it was all one-way communication back then, all right. In my dad's time, it was 3 channels, TV1, TV2, TV3.
Oh, yeah.
You want money, right? That time is literally who has the biggest budget win the game, right?
Yeah.
Because then they talk about things like share of voice. If you have a lot of money, you have a high share of voice, you drown everyone. Then come during my time where the likes of Astro saturate things a bit. You have suddenly 50, 60 different channels.
A bit more democracy.
Yep. But still fairly targeted. Today, you put the 2 million ad budget over a 2-month period, right?
It's like a drop.
You don't hear. So what we learned is that, look, communities are very, very important. I think you guys know that best, right?
Yes.
You don't have to be a very big community, but if the community is very deep and loyal, that is what you want, right? So I think you guys...
in the streetwear scene, to check up kalau you ada movement. The
Betul.
movement is the most important part.
Correct, right? So you have to go deep, you cannot go wide when you want to basically build a
That's PKL's
community.
motto. So.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we observe as well that we have to evolve is that, look, my grandfather built this business around snacks and instant noodles because that was the thing back then, that people worry about how to makan to be full. Today, people don't eat instant noodles to be full anymore. They eat as a form of snack or suka-suka or whatever that is, right? So ultimately, but the thing is that with the Gen Z right now is that what I put in my body is very important to me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what I feel is important to me and what I put in my body is fit. So wellness is key. So now the question we ask is, how does Mamee use our engine that we have built, this 1.5 billion ringgit heading towards 3 billion ringgit? How do we take the engine and how do we also unlock value in nutrition, in wellness? Right. So, for example, today, I mean, Brian, you run a lot. If you can you're running a marathon, right?
2 marathons.
2 marathons,
Two
right?
major marathons.
So my question is, okay, 1 marathon, have you planned out how many gels will you be taking?
Around 5 or 6
Yeah,
gels.
minimum. Right?
Correct.
Minimum. Right. And how much is 1 pack of gel?
Can be 12, 15 ringgit.
Correct. So the same thing is that in the early days, 30 years ago, this from our competitor from America is 30 ringgit. 15 ringgit. Today is 329 with a better quality, right? For the masses.
Yeah.
So our goal right now is to take the same mindset, right? And scale and go look into nutrition, look into things like protein, fiber, look into like these energy gels, cup mix, next level hydration products and all that, and say, how do we build premium positioning brands but accessible pricing products, and build the next engine for the next generation.
Yeah.
So I hope that I answer your question in a sense whereby the future is more about being relevant in communities.
Yeah.
And the second part really is that same business model, take premium items, run it with the mindset of efficiency, and drive mass adoption in things that look premium. We take this for granted, This looks cheap today, affordable, But the thing is, 15 years ago, this is like super premium,
Yeah.
Right? 55 years ago, my grandfather didn't know that was super premium, But today, we take it for granted that it's just something else. So what we want to do is that if we do a good job at it, protein mix, vitamin packs, probiotics for gut health or something, will be in 10, 15 years, you will see like, biasa ni, only because we have made it accessible and made it relevant for the masses. So our real goal is really to take this engine of efficiency, and if we do well, next generation will have accessible nutrition very affordably, right? Just like it's a very normal thing to have.
So I will assume you guys are already down that track and already acquiring brands or starting brands as well. Local brands, international brands, like you want to give a shout out to some of the brands that you guys have started working with or producing already.
So I track back again to give a backstory. About 8-9 years ago, I was quite lucky that I was able to attend Harvard Business School for executive program. And one of the professors there, Professor Clayton Christensen, he worked with Steve Jobs and all these guys on disruptor. He's a father of disruptive innovation, right?
Okay.
So one case study is like, for example, Kodak, right? They were the first to develop digital camera. But the dilemma they had, the innovator's dilemma was, how the hell do I launch this? Because 95% of my business is selling films. Right? If everybody uses digital, right, 95% of our global business goes away. So they dropped it and they sold on the technology to someone else. And everything else is history. So the issue is that big companies will never truly innovate meaningfully from within. Because your processes to make it everybody takut mati, right? See, right? Everybody play safe, bro. Right? Just follow what works and nobody take risks. And innovation requires risk. So that's why, long story short, the advice is that big companies should focus on doing what you do well today, but you need to invest in the more agile startups around you that can run much faster. So 8 years ago, we invested in this company called the Good Crisps Company that produce snacks as well, but they do clean label snacks. So basically nothing artificial in there. There's no MSG. It's gluten-free. It's non-GMO. It's made with all those really premium, better for you ingredients, right? And that's the one that we ship over 80 containers every month now to America.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
So what we've learned 8 years ago is that America started the trend of really...
This one, yes.
Healthier, better for you, nutrition, all this comes from that. So the next project that we invested after this was in a brand called IMMI, right? IMMI. It's by these two American Asian founders, right? IMMI noodles.
Sorry.
Tambah snack.
IMMI ramen or IMMI noodles, right? So two Kevins, that one. So essentially, when we met them, right, they were doing this high protein instant noodles, 28 grams of protein, 12 grams of fiber, 350 calories. So this, every time when people think about instant noodles, they think it's to be unhealthy, right? So these guys, what they did was nothing artificial, all natural, high protein, high fiber, and all that. And we actually manufacture from them out of Malaysia today, and we ship it to America, right?
Black garlic chicken
sounds good.
Damn.
So where else can you get 28 grams of protein in one noodle cake?
Tom yum shrimp.
So this is where our journey started towards, we can use our existing manufacturing facility, our skill, and help produce all these really premium and really better for you products, and essentially start in America where the market has demand and eventually move it to Asia.
Is this available in Malaysia?
No, this is exclusive in America. You know why?
Okay.
Guess how much is one pack?
Oh no. $5.
$5.
$5
Oh,
US
dollars.
dollars.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So ultimately, the thing is that it's a niche product right now. But what we don't want to be is that we are the Volkswagen where we wake up tomorrow and BYD has taken over our market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in
good-
terms of innovation, right, the thing is that it looks overnight, but actually overnight is decades. And while we are still growing on our own path of our Mr. Potato, Mamee Monster, Contours and all that, we knew that we don't wake up one day and suddenly guys like this have eaten our lunch. So that's why we invest in them, we manufacture them, we co-create the R&D products with them and all that, and we help them grow around the world, because a lot of them only focus in America, but we have a global distribution network. So that's where over time the analogy is that we are this big ferry, which is big but slow in moving. We surround ourselves with all these speedboats, and the latest speedboat is actually Heel. So it's a Malaysian brand.
This Malaysian, right? Yeah.
So in our data as well, we have seen like how protein has blown up in America.
Correct.
Right? Do you know why?
No. Wait.
Protein, because
Health stuff?
Yeah,
Health
I
stuff?
mean,
Yeah,
for the
I
most
think
part,
everyone's like a lot of influencers are saying like we don't consume enough protein.
Yeah,
Okay.
and in general, my friends also look for protein-based products just because it
And,
reaches the target, makes you more full.
Yes, and then also there's a lot of issues with our health because we are just under nutrition. Like we're not eating enough protein. So,
Especially, I think, for us Asians.
oh yeah, ours is like super heavy into carbs. So like breakfast, lunch, dinner is just like rice, noodles, and rice.
Correct.
So,
if you go to America today on the shelves, right, everything is loaded with protein. That is why whey protein as an ingredient has shot up in price only because there's a scarcity now in the world.
Aye.
Why? Let me tell you. Have you heard of Ozempic?
Yeah.
So in America, one of the most obese market in the world, all right, they have really taken on Ozempic because it has been so effective in helping people reduce weight. But the challenge is that when you are reducing weight, you go in the doctor's office and they say that fantastic, this thing has helped you suppress your appetite and help you reduce weight, but you are reducing weight without exercising, therefore you're losing muscle mass. Because if you lose weight via exercise, you build muscle mass while losing weight. But this is very effective in helping you losing weight, but also lose muscle mass. So therefore, the doctor's prescription is you have to take a lot more protein to protect the muscles that you have and to grow it further via exercise. So that's why the whole American market right now is protein drinks, protein,
Snacks.
everything you can think of.
Yeah.
Like Khloe Kardashian launched a protein infused, protein
popcorn snack.
Correct.
Protein snack.
Everything, And when we saw this trend in America, we knew that it's going to hit Asia soon. Asia is normally 4 or 5 years behind, right? So we've worked with, Justin and Phoebe, the founders of Heel Protein. And we're going to back them in terms of growing this and also make protein more accessible and affordable for
But it's a Malaysian
and
brand, right?
It's a Malaysian brand.
It's a Malaysian brand, yes.
It's a awesome Malaysian brand, but maybe I'm biased.
Oh, they have creatine as well.
Yep. So they've created all things wellness, right? So there's a lot more innovation that with Mamee, we are growing with them into.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty
bars.
good price point, to be honest, for someone who I'm not the most healthiest person, but yeah, I think it's kind of okay.
Yep.
Affordable, eh?
Yeah, I think I see their product in some pharmacies as well.
Yep.
Oh,
So
Grocery stores also Cura, I think.
So they've done
Cura.
well, and hopefully together we can take this to the next level, right? The goal is that protein isn't just a premium product. Like protein can be really accessible for everyone, right? Even, you say the M40s, B40s, whatever it is, right? Our goal really is to make this accessible without cutting corners in quality.
yeah.
How about you? Like, are you like working out and like how's your protein intake and like are you dabbling in some high rocks running?
Trying. Haven't, right? But then when I see what you guys have done, right? I mean, I'm inspired.
Don't compare.
Right? I want to go out for a run. Then I see his post, right? It's like, oh shit, okay.
I see his post like stress.
I feel tired watching him.
He's training for like double major marathons. So I think he's using up all his luck in 1 year.
Correct.
There's no luck, man. Like, look at his training, right? There's no luck in that.
Because people usually they wait like 3 to 5 years to even get one major marathon. This guy get both, like 2.
Yeah.
Back to back. We're talking like Sydney, and then the next
Berlin.
major marathon is Berlin. He got both at the same time, same year.
No choice, I have to train. I mean, when you get both already, right? The opportunity given to you, so you just have to do your best and train
Bro,
your
he's
best.
cable besar, bro.
Cable besar, no. The cable, I think it's just I don't know lah. Maybe you would pray or what.
Correct.
Because before
Use up all my luck already.
Before you sat down as well, you said that you were shopping at BorakLAH. So did you buy anything? Was there anything in specific you were looking for?
I'm taking Brian down later, and then
you're taking Brian down later. That sounds ominous, man.
See, last time, right, Pablo's luck was always in the raffles, in sneaker raffles.
Yeah, shoe raffles.
So now, he doesn't buy so much shoes, so the raffles luck goes into marathon luck already.
Different kind of luck.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a very interesting time we're in. So I'm really very happy that as a big company, you guys see health as the next big thing. Although you guys are selling snacks, and you can see even in the sneaker scene, right? Majority of all these sneakerheads that used to buy sneakers are now buying running shoes.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're joining running clubs.
I'm
Right. I think when was the last time you bought a sneaker?
Yeah,
we're just basically buying running shoes.
I'm wearing a running shoe as a casual shoe today because it's just so much more comfortable also.
Yeah.
My guy has a Whoop band, so
Oh, this is how many? Over 4 years in now, every day.
yeah, so check it out. Help.
Yeah, let me see. I mean, like I say, I'm a fanatic with data. Yeah, over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
How's your sleep score?
Your
not
stress,
great. Not great.
so,
yeah,
yeah,
stress
over,
level how?
over 1,000 days. Let's not talk about that. Took a topic. Talking about luck, I have to say that your luck has been really, really power. Sometimes Arsenal also can win.
After 22 years.
Mission
after 20
impossible.
I know, after 22 years, I think growing up, I've not seen Arsenal lift any cup, always getting shit from all my friends and other people also. And then after that, like literally, I was at 4, 5 a.m. I was going to go to sleep, and then I watched the game. Then I was like crying. And then my girlfriend's like, why are you crying? Like she was like, why
She
did
don't
you
get it,
cry? She don't get it. She's like, then she asked me the craziest question ever. She was like, oh, is Arsenal playing in the World Cup? I was like, yeah, never mind. This why you don't watch football.
But almost perfect lah. You almost won Champions League.
Almost lah. But we can't have it all. We can't have it all. People say
next year.
correct. But the amount of hate that Arsenal got, like from other club fans, was like, wow, that was crazy. I've not seen that. Like they were worried we were going to win it and have nothing to back.
How long you cried?
Nothing if not loyal lah.
I cried the next day in the car on the way to work also while I was playing the song.
What?
Really?
Yeah. I just couldn't. I was just in disbelief lah. 22 years, like of almost there, and then never win. So you start to like hope. Is this year? Is this a year? And then finally you win. You're like,
Okay lah.
yeah.
Okay. Are you an Arsenal fan? No.
No.
What fan?
We sponsored Man United
Oh,
in 2011.
let's go.
Prior to that, I was Newcastle from primary school in SMK Bandar Hile all the way till when we worked with them out of admiration. I think that you can say a lot of things about Man United, but the way the Americans, you can say a lot about American owners, but the way they run it as a business, right, is second to none. And as a business person myself, it's more admiration than anything. But with a lot of pain.
I also
Right.
gotta give props
Yeah.
to Mr. Potato lah for like they were like the first brand to collaborate. Like it was so cool to see Neymar on like a Malaysian brand.
You guys are also very heavy in K-pop, huh?
Yeah.
We were, all right? So we
Very
had
heavy.
two. Childhood
Still
did
are.
very well. Last year, 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still are. I
We
think.
have a big 17 fan in
So,
in-
really?
in the
Even my
Yeah.
my sister-in-law also was like, "Hey Victor, you can ask mommy anything about 17 gig in."
Yeah.
I don't know.
So right before you walked in, I was just like, one of our staff asked, hey, who's coming today? I said, Pierre Pang from Mamee.
She freaked out. I was like, why she freaked out? I was like,
I said, no, I'm not going to ask anything of free tickets for 17 or whatever. You don't ask me that. I'm not gonna do that. So I said, you go and talk to him later. Then she's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, we're grateful. Like over time, as they say, first generation build the business, second generation scale the business, the third generation spend all the money. Right?
Yeah.
So I have to do my part, right?
So you are spending and making the money lah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So since that journey, actually, just to share a bit as well, I joined the business in around 2006, right?
Okay, how old are you now?
I'm 43 now.
43?
Yeah. So
Okay.
so back then in my
Only 3 years difference.
Yeah.
right?
I'm 40.
still young.
Yeah, you're still young as well.
So at that point in 2006, right, the business was flatlining, right? So my dad needed a bit of help. I was in advertising, right, with Ogilvy back then. So
Ogilvy.
in 1971 until the early 2000s, right, not only Mamee, but all the other local food companies all did very well in the first 30 plus years, right? And we all did well because we sold on 2 propositions only. Produce great quality product and give great value and discounts to the consumers versus the multinational, and you have a business. But in the early 2000s, we realized that the business, not only us, but all these same companies are starting to flatline. And what we could not understand is why. Because if good quality product and good value products are your formula of success for 30 years, why suddenly stop working?
What has changed?
Correct. Because we have bigger scale, right? We have more economies of scale. So therefore, we provide better value. Quality is better than ever. We have strong R&D team, etc., right? But long story short, what we realized was that in the turn of the millennial, we're starting to serve a new breed of consumers. Guys like us, not some of you guys are much younger. millennials like this, right, are starting to come in the market, and these young millennials have clearly a different requirement versus just cheap and good. You know what I mean? So ultimately, I should remember back then in around 2006, when we look into Forbes' most valued companies in the world versus my grandfather time, in the 70s, you look at banks, you look at ExxonMobil, all this commodity business. But in the early 2000s, you have brands like Starbucks, you have brands like Tesla, you have the brands like Apple and all that. And we look at just these three, right? Starbucks, Tesla, Apple. They all sell products. But if you go to Starbucks and you say that, hey, I'm paying 12 ringgit to 15 ringgit for a cup of coffee because it's the best coffee I've ever tasted in the world.
Yeah.
The answer is no. If you talk about Apple, right? All right, and you pay like what, 8,000 ringgit for a phone, like I got this, right? This is a Chinese phone, right? I have 2 Chinese phones today, right?
Open 3 ways. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With
So
triple fold.
correct. So when you look into the specs and technology, right, the Chinese phones are better, but why are they selling cheaper? And the same thing also for a Tesla car, especially back then. And what we realize is that the emerging generation don't only buy a product for its physical delivery. They buy a feeling more than they buy the product. You know? So that's where back then when you walk into Starbucks, when you buy an Apple phone, you're actually buying more of a feeling than you're buying.
Status, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, status, feeling,
Yeah.
Brand, whatever you call it, right? But it's that fuzzy feeling that you feel rather than when you eat.
I'm one of the gang.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
So when we understood that, that's where then we started the investment in we spent 30 million ringgit in Man United over 3 years. Then we've collaborated with Chanu, we've done things with Pokemon, with Netflix, with 17 and all that. When you pile all that up, right, over time it costs over 50, north of 50, 60 million ringgit, right? For a small company like ours. So I mean,
Technically not very small,
in
but
the global,
okay.
I mean,
Globally, like you're comparing to a global company. Yes, okay.
but the learning there essentially is that today you cannot launch a product focusing only on the product. The physical product, you have to worry also about how your product or your brand deliver the emotional aspect. And that's where the premium in margin comes from. That the better you do your storytelling, the better you make someone feel, the more margin you can get out of it. That you're not just a commodity product.
Yeah, you're right. I think we see it a lot in fashion and sneakers as well. It's
Emotional
about
storytelling.
emotional
Need
and
a story now.
yeah, and you know that fashion is like that. We produce our own products, so we know how much a shirt costs or a jacket costs. So I mean, sometimes when you go into a luxury store, you're like,
Damn.
like I just know how much this costs.
This
but
shouldn't
I'm-
be costing this much.
Yeah,
You're paying for the logo and brand.
But I like the details. I like the brand. I'll drop money on this brand, because I know how much you have built this brand, and that is the X factor that we don't actually cannot really quantify, right? It's just in our minds like, okay, I want to be part of this gang. I want to be seen wearing this kind of brand. So I think that's I understand where you're going with this because the price point is low, but how do you make somebody feel like,
Correct.
I'm part of this gang?
So one of the guys we work with, this guy called Ross McKay, he launched a brand called Cadence, right?
Yes.
I think we really respect what he does. All right, 1.5 year old business, but valued over $100 million now. And his philosophy is really that premium in positioning, but not in pricing. You know what I mean? And that's where the bigger market is, right? So if you can build a brand that is premium, but ultimately, and through that premiumness, build a community, but have your products accessible pricing, that is the holy grail in terms of how a business should be in the modern world. So that's where we as a legacy company learn a lot from these companies and also collaborate with them, right? And that's where we feel it's really exciting, what I do on a day-to-day basis.
You mentioned something very. I want to touch on this topic a little bit. You said your company, the one that you're running, is a generational company, and you have this mindset of like passing it on. What are you preparing in terms of? I understand you are like growing the company to a certain direction, and you understand where you want to go in the near future. But like, you're a father of how many kids?
Two.
And like, how are you preparing your kids? I'm also a dad of 2, so I'm also thinking like, how do you prep your kids with AI, with whatever's happening? It's so fast paced,
Correct.
and like for the next generation to take over the business or to even like you say custodian of the business, right? So how are you prepping your kids for this?
So here's the difference, right? like while I see this as a generational business, I have no impression that my children will take it over one day. Right?
Oh.
No.
Because the reality is that even for me in every position in Mamee, the best person must sit and take over from
Wow.
myself. And if
If they
in
are
the
the
near
best,
future, correct.
Yeah.
In the near future, if I'm not the right guy anymore, right, I have to be removed. You know what I mean? For the protection of the legacy, the best person must always be at the helm, right? And I also don't want to put my children into the pressure, right? Right. So ultimately, if they want to and they're capable, bonus, fantastic. You know what I mean? But if they have passion elsewhere, I would support their full passion. You know what I mean? If you want to do something, all I ask is only 2 things, right? 3 actually. Have deep integrity in everything you do.
Yeah.
Have deep passion in everything you do, and have good work ethic in everything you do. And you can do whatever you want as long as these 3 things. Not necessarily you have to sell snacks or you have to be in Mamee or something, right? You can have these 3 things and you can be ultra successful in anything you do. You want to be an artist, you be an artist. You want to be a sports person, you have these 3 things, you go ahead, right? I'll support you, right? But ultimately, I don't want to expect that they will take over the business because that's just put undue pressure on them.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's unfair to them, all right? And I think life is short. You really shouldn't be doing something that you don't want to do. You know?
Yeah.
All you need is just great integrity, great passion, and great work ethic, right? And
How
you should
old
be.
are they now?
My daughter's 16, my son is 13.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's some crazy. That's very, very.
3 simple things
yeah,
that
very
you can apply,
admirable.
but like, it's very useful.
Yeah, like you're not expecting them to. So it's like, oh yeah, cool.
It's tough, but I mean, Brian, you're in business. It's tough to run a business. It's ultra tough to run a family business. And ultimately, right, you cannot be forced upon. Like, I'm lucky that I have this deep passion, right? Because while I joined the business in about 2006, nearly about 20 years ago, but ultimately, we have been in the business forever. Why? Because every holiday, every meal, every Sunday, trips, wherever we go and something, right? As soon as we sit down, the family are wired to talk about business.
Oh, whole family all talk.
Correct. So my dad, my granddad, my uncle, my auntie sort of thing, you sit down, business, business, business. So you go holiday, business, business, business.
Yeah.
So sitting down, hearing this for the longest time that we can remember, right? This has been ingrained in our blood, right? So I personally have the passion and the interest, in this, right? But not necessarily my children, and I'm not going to force them into it. If they do, great. But you have to earn your stripes, you know?
Yeah.
Because if someone without the Pang surname can do a better job at it, then that person's going to take the seat. Simple.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
okay.
I think we always see
Yeah.
like, they want to pass down to other family members and so forth. But the fact that, I think the best person,
With your children now being 16 and 13, have they shown any proclivities to any interest in it at all? Or do they have their own thing going on that you think they're going to pursue?
Yep. I think at 16, my daughter is really keen in marketing. All right. So like me. So I studied information system, which is more tech-based. But when I came out, I went straight into advertising. I should remember the letter that I wrote to apply for the job in Ogilvy. If there isn't a job in advertising, but maybe if the IT support, I start there first. Never mind. I'll go and fix computers and all that. And then suddenly I can work my way through it. So it's a passion, and I can see that my daughter has that same passion and interest. But whether that translates towards beyond marketing towards running a business, I'm not sure. If one day she discovered that that's what she wants and she can prove herself to be having the ability to do it, then the opportunity may be there. But like I said, I don't want to say that it will be there. It may be there.
Yeah.
Is she a fan of K-pop?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like wondering if she was excited.
Yeah. So when I brought Chanwoo, the deal with Chanwoo and also this 17, right, I thought, wow, this time of flex like father, right?
You'd be cool there.
You want a ticket to meet and greet? No? How many of your friends want it? No, we don't want. I thought that was my moment to shine, right?
I find it
But-
cool that.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, right?
Yeah.
No, man.
What
So,
does she listen to? Like
Daniel Caesar.
huge
fan.
Oh, she went on concert recently.
Yeah. So she came to me. Dad, I cannot get a ticket. Then I thought, of all things, right? The things that you want, I cannot really help. So I have to call all the contacts, right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
thankfully, they extended, all right, an extra show. She managed to get a concert, right? So
3 nights.
Correct. So
Daniel Caesar.
I don't know who he was.
Oh yeah, he's
I'm a bit dinosaur, but yeah.
The soft boy singing.
Yeah.
soft voice singing.
Right,
Yeah.
a lot of the Gen Z kids,
Correct.
So how's your I don't know work-life balance? Is there a work-life balance for a CEO?
No, I don't believe in the work-life balance.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
like lay it on, man. Just
No,
look
no,
at the
no,
camera and just tell. Yeah, I'm also similar in belief. Whereby if you want something, you gotta like really work hard for it. And like, okay, yeah, to some degree you need work-life balance of like, okay, going out, exercising, making sure your health is in order and all that. But I think it's very obsessive sometimes when you have something, a goal that you want to achieve, you become very obsessive. And I don't think that, to some degree, I don't think that's unhealthy. I think it's really healthy also. You also run your own business.
I think we are just maybe in denial ke.
Yeah, ke?
Maybe kita sebab dah biasa sangat this kind of life kan. When people say it's not healthy, we're like, no, okay je.
No, but if you want,
Sempat je pergi gym.
but if you want something, right, you gotta go and work hard for it lah.
The
You
thing
know.
is, nobody is going to want to see your brand succeed more than you. You know,
Yeah.
so you are the one that wants to make it succeed the most. So of course you are going to work the hardest for it lah, isn't it?
So maybe you maybe you can tell us a little bit of your schedule. Like what is it like?
Yeah.
You know, like.
I think there's a bit of misconception. I will clarify it first. Right? I say I don't believe in work-life balance. But I'll tell you this. Your health, especially your mental health, is your number one priority. Number one. Nothing else come close. Not your work, not your career, nothing else. And together, your family is extremely important. And then together with it, of course, your career. So as what I've shared always, right? I've learned in the earlier, halfway through my career, right, going through a lot of pain, figuring out myself in the pressure cooker of trying to grow this family business, right? All of us actually constantly juggle 3 glass balls, right? The first glass ball is your own health, and especially so right now, your mental health.
Yeah.
The second is your family, and the third is your career/business. Now, if any one of these glass balls falls off and hit the ground and shatter, right, no matter how you glue it, you'll never ever get it back whole anymore. So I ask you, can you afford to prioritize 2 out of 3 or not? The tough thing about life is that you have to make all 3 work at the same time every day for the rest of your life. If you say that my family is my top priority and my career is my top priority and screw myself, I can sacrifice myself. And you ask yourself, if you're unhealthy, will your business be healthy and your family be happy or not?
No. So yeah.
Yeah. So can you really afford to only pick 1 or 2 out of 3? You can't. So therefore, the struggles of life is to basically balance all 3, right? And therefore, why I say that work-life balance don't exist in this modern world is because I personally believe in work-life integration. That when you work, life can exist. And when you live, work can exist. Why? Because today we have technology, right? So if I'm going on a holiday, right, because I need to wind down to avoid burnout, I can schedule an hour in my whole day, even on the beach, right, having a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Right? But when I am at work and suddenly my daughter have a recital, a ballet, for example, and she's performing, does it mean that 9 to 5, I cannot even think about my family? No, I have to be there.
Yeah.
Right? So life is complicated and life is life, right? Your family is life all the time, right? Your health is life all the time. You shut it off for a while, it's not healthy. So ultimately, what we have to learn to do is to integrate all 3 things at the same goal. The organization that Mamee is today is that, look, if today, 9 to 5, the mindset that you come is that 9 to 5, I'll give you everything of my time, but after 5, you don't touch me at all. No, this cannot work in Mamee. Right? But if you say that, hey, at 10 a.m., right, I need to take time off, I need to send my daughter to school because my wife or my helper or whatever is not able to do it, right? I say, go do it. Because I trust that will not disrupt your ability to deliver your work anyway. So we cannot be that rigid where 9 to 5 is work and don't think about work and yourself, and then after 5, don't think about work and all. That cannot work in this modern world.
Yeah.
We have technologies existing today, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's emails, or whether it's Zoom calls and something where we can mix it all up, right? So in summary, we believe in work-life integration, not work-life balance.
What about working from home? What's your take on that?
We believe that there is effectiveness in physically meeting, but the policies that we take is that in a 5-day week, 4 days is where we come to work, 1 day is work from home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's not like everybody come and then one day everybody go off, right? So every team will have their own schedule and all that. But what we believe is that that is a good mix. Yeah.
I really like the word work-life integration.
Yeah.
I think it's really true nowadays. Like you said, with phone and WhatsApp, right? Like even though you don't want to be disturbed, someone is still going to disturb you either way, right? So why not figure a way how to integrate
The
work
life doesn't wait for you.
Yeah, life doesn't wait for you.
So I personally don't believe in hustle culture. I'm not going to tell you that, hey, you got to work like 20 hours a week and sort of thing. That's the only way to succeed, all right? Because you can do that. But the question is, can you do it for 80, 90 years? You cannot sustain.
Something's gonna take it.
Correct. So in our type of business, we're trained about sustainability. Like I talk about 100 years old companies sort of thing. And the same thing also, right? That ultimately, eventually, your mental health will take a toll, your physical health will take a toll, or your family will take a toll. And you ask yourself, which one can you give up? Self, family, or your career? You can't. So you just got to learn to juggle it all and make it sustainable. Yeah.
Okay. I have on that note, how is it like working with Gen Zs?
And what's the biggest thing you've learned from Gen
Yeah.
Zs?
Yeah. I think Gen Zs are real,
They'll just give you straight up, right?
Yeah.
Have you had any experiences like that where Gen Z,
yeah.
like,
I
I
mean,
know you're a CEO, right? So I've seen similar stories online where this person, just started out intern and just straight away told the boss off. Like,
Yes.
But it was so real. Everyone wanted
So
to
if
say
you
it,
look
but,
into my IG post, right, I think about a week plus 2 weeks ago, I had lunch with all of our interns, right?
Oh, okay.
And they're real because, right, growing up, right, what I was taught to do, right, if you have opportunity to sit with elders, right, you shut up, man.
Yeah.
You don't share what's in here, right? You just say, yeah, everything's okay, it's cool, sort of thing, because that is respect, right?
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
being polite,
Uh,
But this group of our interns, right, at first a bit shy lah, but once you open up the floodgates, right, bam,
what was the thing that opened up floodgates? Like,
What's that?
what was the thing that opened up floodgates? Do you say something like, okay, I want to listen to all of you, like, honest, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say to them to
So-
make them comfortable?
First and foremost, right, one of them actually reached out on Instagram and said, hey, hi, I'm I'm intern, sort of thing. How can we catch up and sort of thing? And that's how this
Wow.
So they come to you,
Shoot
right?
your shot.
Which is good, right?
Shoot
A
your shot.
millennial or a Gen X or whatever it is will never ever do that, right?
Correct.
And especially in the Asian setting, all right? And then basically in there there were a lot of very good value that sometimes being at the top, we just don't see the opportunities and the problems on the ground. So to answer your question, I think that being real is important because it cut out a lot of inefficiency, right? Let's not waste time trying to like understand or guess what each other want, right? You tell me if it makes sense, let's do it and do it immediately, right? Let's not waste time anymore. So that will be, I think, the biggest difference, because growing up we were taught to be, hey, the right thing to do is to be polite, to be humble, and to you don't like it, suck it up, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
That's how we were brought up, you know what I mean, in this culture. But I think there's a lot of waste of energy and time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole niceties and being polite and
Respectful
and
is
respect,
important.
yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, but I think a lot of pretentious. We're all pretending to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like, get down right to it, lah.
Yeah.
You mentioned something in your while you were talking previously is you went through a lot of hardship and whatnot. Like, what was one of the hardest thing on your journey running the business?
Correct. That made you learn and
Like, yeah.
I think that, I came into the business quite young, 20 years ago, so about early 20s.
Early
right?
20s.
Yeah. So I was so fortunate that, success come quite early for me. But that was also the most dangerous thing that could have happened to me. Because as a young person, right, when you taste early success, you think the whole world revolves around you. You think that you're the man, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And that any form of success is because of you, and that took me, a young person with success have a hugely inflated ego, and that can be very dangerous. So, and also because, of course, I'm the CEO's son also when I came in, right? So clearly, people also don't truly tell you the truth, right? They kind of like, yes man, yes women, sugarcoat things, sort of thing. So you feel even more like, wow, I'm really, really the man. But the reality is that, and nothing, man. Right, the whole business is significantly bigger than that one person, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, your ego don't see it that way. So over time, expectations became very high. My natural person is also that I'm very impatient. Right, you want everything yesterday, sort of thing. So when you combine inflated ego with impatience, right, that becomes a very dangerous formula. And with that, therefore, comes a lot of frustration, and frustration becomes a lot of, like I said, a lot of mentally troubled times, because you really don't have enough experience in life or pain yet in life that to teach you that ultimately, one, sustainability means a bit more patience. You can be aggressive, but there's a time where you have to be patient as well.
Yep.
Right? You may have certain good ideas, But ultimately, you must also be humble enough to know that nothing works just because of that 1-2%. You know? So I've gone through that journey. Largely, myself was my enemy. Ego was my enemy, right? And ultimately, that was a painful period. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of it more mentally than physically. Yeah.
How do you overcome them?
How do I overcome them? I mean, being very frank, I've sought help,
Yeah.
Clinically depressed for a while, all right?
Okay.
Seek help, and over time, maturity helps.
Was it something that you realized, or was it like somebody
I mean, I
told
was
you?
very, very thankful, right? Another of my very good friend, Tim Tia, you will know him. Everybody knows him today, right? Because he was very open, right? So I've known him for quite a while. And we used to be in this group called Entrepreneurs Organization, right?
Yeah.
And we were put together in the same group. And in this group
EO.
called the Forum, correct?
Yeah.
EO called Forum. You do share very openly around the 3 aspects of life, right? Business, family, and self, right? And Tim has always been very open about his struggles and his journey towards it.
Yeah.
And I would say that I've learned a lot from him. And let me tell you is that a lot of people out there more that are silently suffering alone. You know? And I think if I can give one advice is that the best way to overcome it is to be open about it, which is contrary in our culture as well. Right?
Asians.
You gila, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gila, keep to yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? So and the thing is that in that type of situation, people who have not gone through it will say that, hey, you're so lucky lah. Look at the bright side lah, right? No problem one lah. But that's not the way to address it lah. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I think solving it comes with a lot of empathy. Like I said, that self-love is extremely important.
Yeah.
Because if you are not happy and healthy up there, right? Trust me, your family won't be healthy and happy. Your business won't be healthy and healthy.
Yeah.
So Tim has helped me tremendously in this area, not by giving me advice or anything, but just by him being real, sharing his journey and his pain,
Yeah.
And when you look and say, shit, I'm not alone, right? Not that you want everybody to be in this situation, but when you feel that there's a bit of social belonging, right? That, hey, actually you're not alone and you're not the odd one out, the weird one out, right?
You're not like a bubble.
Correct.
Or something.
And you start loving yourself. You know what I mean? And you start loving yourself, because why I got into that trouble was because of the constant expectation of just trying to be more, and at a certain point, right, your cup overflows as well. Actually, I talked about this with some of my friends recently, right? So the issue that I face is this, right? Now, whether it is from young or not, there's this cup that I'm always struggling to fill up. Yeah. But the type of personality that I am, and sometimes that's why my team suffers alongside with me, is that you always think that success, in your mind, you imagine that success, when I reach that destination, that is what, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But the problem with what I realized over time, why today I can make peace with this, is this. You never truly arrive.
Yeah.
You are in this rigged game of infinite loop, right?
Yeah.
Then when you think you arrive, right, a new freaking lap starts again.
Yeah.
Like runners, right? You run in a lap, right? It is just never ends on, and you have to make peace with that. And you have to make peace that life and business is like that one. It's not like that.
Yeah.
So it's one day you think, I'm the man. I've done it. Then tomorrow you wake up like, shit, I'm the worst person in the world. You just got to accept that it's a process. That's why when people ask me, are you happy? So I'm not looking for happiness anymore. I've learned it. Because happiness is a feeling that doesn't last forever. But what you have to realize is that's also same for sadness. So what I'm really looking for at all time is peace. So if this is the middle ground, I don't want happy, super deep sadness, etc. And that's what I went through in the early days. What you want is to bounce around the line of right, of peace. That when you succeed, let's not over celebrate. Let's celebrate, but let's not over celebrate. But when you're down, this is not the end of the world, because you wake up tomorrow, you look back and actually it was nothing. Right.
Yeah.
So for me was that the issue was, I have this cup, but every time I about to fill it, if the objective is to fill it to arrive, right? Suddenly, before I fill it up, when it's 95% full, the cup just got bigger.
Okay. You change the cup.
You hit this target, you want a bigger target. You want a bigger target. You want a bigger target. And every time you tell yourself in pain, right? When I hit that target, I would have arrived. I would be happy. I'll be fulfilled. And starting. And when you arrive,
You don't.
What's next?
What's next? You know what I mean? So the issue when you don't understand life enough and you constantly chase something at a certain point, right? Because it's an endless game, right? you get burnt out.
Yeah, you keep trying to fill up that cup, but you don't exactly realize that the amount they've already put in was way more than it could hold in the first place.
Right. Yeah. So ultimately, right, that's a journey of understanding. That's why I think that, like, just like in success, you have to go through this pain to really learn. You can't read a book, right? If everybody can read a book and avoid misstep, everybody will be successful, everybody will be extremely happy. That's not how life works, right?
Yeah. I had a chat with just sharing, I had a chat with Sean from Against Lab. So it's his 10-year anniversary. And in fashion, 10-year Malaysian fashion,
Long,
10
bro.
years is long. So
Especially for a local brand.
yeah, for local brands, tough. And
Respect the ones who survive long in the industry who dies young.
And then
That's a good one.
he always like every time we meet up, it's like, oh, he's complaining about something. He's like, oh man, it's not enough, blah 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 blah, and all that kind of stuff. And then he mentioned something. Actually, I should be grateful. So the conversation was like him stressing out about like the business, the rent he have to pay, the amount of workers he has, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Then he said, yeah, actually I shouldn't stress so much because 10 years ago when I first started, it was an absolute dream to be where I am now.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like to be here is already like super success. But when I reach here, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about how stressful, how shitty this feeling is, blah, 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 blah. But if you just look back like 10 years ago, it's an absolute dream to be there, So yeah, then I was like, yeah, actually you're right, we were both agreeing lah. But back then, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, SneakerLAH was like nothing. No collab, no shoe, no event, no nothing. Like starting now, we should be happy lah. So sometimes it's good to have, some old pictures. It's good to look back. It's not being nostalgic. It's good to be nostalgic. It's good to look back and it's good to celebrate the wins as well lah. I think sometimes we are too harsh on ourselves also.
Absolutely. So that on that front, right? I think one thing I learned, one of the biggest lessons is that progress over perfection all the time. You know what I mean? So that's extremely important. And the other part is I stopped chasing destinations. Realizing that there isn't a destination, but to enjoy the journey towards it. Right? So like what you mentioned, right? Enjoy the journey, look back, be nostalgic, and be proud of what you achieve, right? Knowing that there is no end goal. Because when you achieve the end goal just got extended.
Because it's cool to look back to see the progress, but it's not like you're looking back to see like, your past glories and all that, It's like, I was so power back then, It's not like you're doing that, It's more like, hey, look how far we've come, man.
The reason why I was laughing also just now, because this is what I also just like reflected on a few months ago. I was like, wow, I'm running like 75 km a week. And that I used to run 75 km like a month, in 3 months. I was celebrating 75 km in 3 months. So I just like, this thing can be applied in all aspects of life. It's like, you look back where you start and you're like, wow, actually you've come so far,
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Yeah. Well, before we close, I just want to ask, what's the best advice you've ever got? I know a lot of people ask this.
I got questions also.
Oh yeah, you got
You got a question?
Okay, go.
Give me time to think about that. Let's take Daniel's question.
Wow,
Daniel is the type
after
who
1.5 hours, you bring out your
I
question.
know what's the problem. I bet he couldn't find time to select. That's how
Also because
It's your notes, bro.
I want to select.
because also I wanted to let Brian, ask everything first before I ask my questions.
Your questions are very powerful, is it?
No, it's more like just fun questions because I think you already answered a lot of the business aspects of things. So I want to kind of ask the fun one, right? Some of that, we were never been able to get the chance.
Microphone kat mulut.
So I want to ask, what was the most ridiculous thing, or what was the most like craziest thing you've done inside the Mamee factory as a kid?
Okay.
Because not everyone gets a chance as a kid to get into the Mamee factory.
I'm sorry to disappoint, but ultimately, right? Like I spent very little time in the factory growing up as a kid. Everybody would imagine, right? Everybody would imagine that, wow, growing up, right, we're running around in the factory and starting, right? Unfortunately, I don't have any memory at all, not even one, right?
Were you allowed
of
to?
that happen? No.
Yeah, that should be your SOP.
Quality assurance, bro.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
sorry, it's like
Your
not
parents-
a very sexy answer.
Your parents are very strict.
But yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. So here's another one. It's 2 questions in one. So basically, what's a discontinued Mamee product that still has a big following today? And what's one maybe Mamee product that was discontinued last time that you would like to bring back today?
So Mamee Monster, if you go back to the most popular asset that we have, oh, he's back.
He's back from the corner.
He's back from the corner. I think he went down for the mama and then came back. Okay, so welcome back. So we're just talking about you. So Mamee Monster in the early days actually had a girlfriend. You know?
The
Yeah,
pink
it's a
one,
pink
right?
monster. Yeah, it was a curry flavor.
Good girlfriend, are you?
Right, 55 years in, but he's still so young, right? Right. So back then, I think that was one that has a lot of nostalgia, right? But people don't really think about it. You know what I mean? So that would be something maybe that we will look to bring back, the nostalgia factor. But I think that would be one. The second one would be another very popular product that we did was that ghost pepper noodles. The really spicy one.
I remember the story.
I remember
Right.
those. Yeah, it was viral.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this I think are the more notable ones. Yeah.
What does it take for you guys to discontinue products? Like when do you guys decide, okay, we don't want to do this anymore?
These days, right? We like I said in our 12 weeks innovation cycle, right? We launch products very, very frequently.
Wow,
Because-
the packaging is quite nice. Oh.
Yeah. So this one is another where basically you have to hunt for it, right? So basically,
I was telling us a story.
you see, okay, if you just focus on this, right? You see, look at the packaging, right? First and foremost, we did everything that marketing book will tell you not to do, right? The first thing you see, far right corner, it says tidak disarankan untuk kanak-kanak. You sell a kid's snack and you say that, hey kids, you probably don't want to eat this, right? Literally on the label, right? It doesn't say anything about what flavor it is, right? It says that eat at your own risk. Everything that people tell you not to do, we did it in this campaign and it did extremely well for us, right? So this was actually a product that you have to hunt. So what we realized, right, as I told you, ultimately the consumer engagement is not just about what you put in your mouth, but it's throughout the whole journey, even in discovery. So in this campaign, people were actually going out there looking for the product, buying up every pack to see whether they get this lucky pack or not. So this was a campaign that we did about 5 years back, which did very well for us.
Yeah, you should bring it back, man.
Yeah,
Because kids, you can tell them don't do something, they do it. Man.
exactly.
I think it's
right?
adults too, bro.
Yeah.
Adults are actually,
Okay. So one last question. This one was
your question.
a lot, but most of it is already actually answered just now.
Okay.
So one last question actually, because just now you guys said, Mr. Potato is a big part of your business, right? And you guys talking about you use a lot of potatoes. So actually I'm curious, how much potatoes do you guys run through? Like how much potatoes do you guys use?
Yeah. So basically, we use, in ringgit terms, right? Over 200 million ringgit worth of buying raw potatoes every year.
Oh.
Yeah. And ultimately, unfortunately, in Malaysia, we are not a potato planting country.
Correct.
So we buy it from all around the world. And potato are grown in seasons, right?
Yeah.
So half the year we buy from Europe, half the season we have to buy from Asia because you cannot buy from one source throughout the whole year because it goes in season. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what we do. And growing. So from there, we do consume a fair bit of potatoes.
Damn. 200 million worth a year.
That's a lot.
That's crazy, man.
That's pretty much it lah for my questions. Hans, you got any questions you want to ask before?
Not really. I think everything was already answered.
Sorry, I hogged all the questions,
No worries, no worries. No, you answered most of the
I
ones on my
enjoyed listening.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that I learned, and I think a lot of things that our viewers can also learn as well from this video. Especially because I know a lot of young people who want to start their own brands, own product, and so
Yeah.
forth, watch this kind of videos.
You definitely dropped a lot of nuggets of wisdoms.
Yeah, the thing that really got me was the machine learning thing that you did for finding out the current trends and all that.
Yeah.
I think I was like, I was wondering whether that was like an industry standard. Like, does everyone do that, or are you guys ahead of the curve in doing that? Like, are you guys like particularly good at doing that, or is it just a lot of people doing that and just never occurred to me? Yeah.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, I think we're ahead of the average, right? But I think that we are not doing something that's so revolutionary, right? I think it's just that today, I mean, like if you use Claude, you use the AI agents, right? You can self-code it. All these are done internally by people that in our organizations that are not trained to be coders.
Yeah.
And the whole point about AI today is that you don't have to be a coder to be able to build an agent, that fit a specific need, So just about initiative, go onto YouTube, you learn a ton of stuff from it. All right, trial and error, right, and you get there, So that's why I said three things, right? integrity, work ethic, passion. If you have these three, you can do anything.
Yeah, I just love the fact that you guys, because I know there are some companies out there which ban AI in their workplace.
Dude, let me tell you this. When I first joined Mamee, right, we were so Chinaman back then, right, that we banned Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You cannot use it because
Wow.
in 9 to 5, right, you clock in physically
Must focus.
and you focus and you deliver because company pay you 9 to 5, you know what I mean? And that was everything we fought, and today where we are,
Very technological,
Yeah.
advanced like company.
Yeah. But more beyond that, I think our transformation has been more cultural than it has been,
very much so.
Yeah,
Yes.
from
Very
a
young, full of
Chinaman
energy.
company, right, to right now. Like we're spending 40 million ringgit to build our new office right nearby. And in that office, we'll come with a huge, cafe, with proper cafe level food subsidized 50% by the company. We have a paddle court, we have a pickleball court, we have a proper gym.
The one in
right? We have
Subang?
No, we're building a new one.
Oh,
We just moved in.
yeah.
So we're spending 40 million. It'll be up in 2 years, right?
Visitor can go.
For sure, bro. For you, anytime. I'll keep a desk for. I'll prepare a desk for
I
you.
know the facilities, right?
Yeah. I'll prepare a desk for you.
You know,
dedicated.
my cat's vet is right across the road.
Anytime, man.
I go there quite often.
Anytime, come, right? So you've been to our current office, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome, but we're taking it to the next level because of the idea of work-life integration, right? That I expect that my next meeting 2 years from now will be while I'm on the treadmill with someone else, while I'm playing paddle with someone else, right? At 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever that is, right? So the whole idea of that is like there will be no barriers. There'll be a certain level of trust and expectation based on the KPIs that you have to deliver, right? But how you deliver it,
It's up to you.
it's up to you. We want to have meetings not in the boardroom, but in the gym, in the pickleball court, the
Yeah.
paddle court, or whatever it is, right? In the cafe, And that's how you make work natural, right? Because work doesn't have to be done only in the way of how people say it should be done 100 years ago.
Yeah.
This is not how the Gen Z, the millennials want to live. And why not make it comfortable and natural for this generation? Why follow the rules of the last 2-3 generations? It worked then, but doesn't mean it worked now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assume there will be a nice kick-ass gym at the new office as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, Monster also shake head.
Yeah.
Monster will be working
You
out
can
also
tell
at
that
the
he
gym.
lost some weight, right?
Yeah. Wow, you've been working out, huh?
You're working out.
I would say, right, like, even last time, Mamee Monster can get girlfriend, Pablo cannot get the girlfriend. Now cannot see already.
Now got it, got it.
Pablo went and run a lot, go gym. That's why I got girlfriend.
Great progress. No, I've
Yeah.
been following all your stories, man. Amazing
Wow.
what you guys have done. No, seriously, no joke. I know how tough it is, right? To get yourself started. And dude, I've not done a marathon, man. And you're going to do a marathon. Have you done a marathon?
Yeah, we
I
did.
did two
Shit,
last
man,
year.
You guys are way ahead. I mean, again, in context, right? What, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, where you guys were in your baseline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This one amazing. 1 year, 50 kilo he lost.
Yeah.
Crazy. So
Crazy, bro.
I think just to share a little bit, it was I was on that journey, and when he first joined the company, I was losing some weight.
Correct.
And then he saw that the weight loss was real. And then I told him like, bro, you so better buck up lah. Like health is really the wealth.
absolutely,
The true
man.
wealth is health.
Nothing is more important.
Like you got millions also. If you're not healthy, there's no point one.
Yeah.
Then he was like, okay, man, he was struggling at first. Then I was like, okay lah. He said after December 31st, when I come back from my Italy trip.
Yeah.
Was it Italy trip?
Yeah, Italy.
Then he was like, okay, I eat all the pasta I want, all the pizza.
Makan pas-pas.
Then I come back, and then he was really and I made a pact with him lah. I said every Wednesday we go work out together. Only if you control your diet, meaning like you follow this diet, meaning 0 carbs, 0 sugar. You can eat all the protein you want, all the meat, okay. Just 0 carbs, 0 sugar, because we are very carb and sugar heavy country, right? So he was like, okay, I'll follow that, and we stuck to it lah. At first 3 months, not really a lot of weight loss yet.
Yeah, I think also the first 3 months, because coming from someone, like, it was crazy to me. I did not know that carbs make you this, that. That's the key thing I think about Malaysia. There's not enough awareness and education about food. Why protein is so important to you. Protein makes you full. What's carbs for? Why you need a balanced meal. I did not know that, to be more full, just eat more protein.
Yeah.
I thought, you eat more, you feel more full. So,
Yeah, look at that.
Damn.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well done, man.
So I just one thing I wish and hope for, like you said, more protein based snacks and all, right? I think we're headed towards a great direction.
There are more and more guys like you out there. That's why Mamee have to evolve to stay relevant, right? So we can't be just pushing snacks, noodles, and all for the next generation, right? Ultimately, we have to be in the lives of our community.
You go back. This one more. So this was I took this picture of him. This is he's doing some thrusters lah, squats plus shoulder workout. And when he first started doing it, it was like so difficult. But I told him, lightweight, 100. And he was like, okay, sure. But he will do lah until like half day also he will do finish the 100. So like he
What
really.
was your story? What triggered you? I mean, you drove him. Right?
Yeah.
What drove you?
So it was the year that my wife was diagnosed with cancer.
Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, she was diagnosed, and then she did that, went through chemo and all that, and she improved somewhere in May. And then I was like, okay, I need to go and get my blood test lah, because I need to see where I'm at as well.
Yeah.
So I did my blood test. I was really, really bad, out of shape, super bad lah. Sugar levels. You know sugar, right? 7 is like the limit.
Yeah.
Mine was 14.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's very bad. Doctor say, your dad is a diabetic as well. If you don't control, you know where you're going lah.
Yeah.
So
How old were you?
3 years ago ni.
3 years ago, ni.
3 years ago ni. So I always thought because I run, I memang last time you see this shot of me in 2016 I'm already running I'm in running gear. So I run like 5K once or twice a week. I thought I can run healthy then but drink like mad, eat like mad. So never really control. Then I did that baseline check full check, and was like reality hit Doctor said, bro, you don't control, you know where you're headed to lah. So my dad is diabetic, and he recently passed as well. Dialysis for 12 years. So I know where I was headed to. So I did a drastic change lah. Research on keto diet, carnivore diet, all these kind of things, and I just went on it. And I signed up after I got my results. The same day I went and signed up for gym, and then the rest is history.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah. So to end. Hey, thanks, man. When your turn? Your turn?
No. Now you have to mentor him.
Soon,
You going back to the Muay Thai, right? I saw.
I did one class and I sprained my wrist. So. No, but then recently I got a comment that was a bit of a bigger wake up call from someone who I trusted in terms of looks and all that. So the person, she was just like, I think
it's a she lah.
It was a joke. It was a random joke because we know the way we joke with each other. And she was just like, hey, maybe if you know money, you can get a job in the future as all the fitness posters, right? You can just become the model for all the before, Okay. Oh, bitch.
Okay. That one will hurt. Especially coming from a she.
Forever the before, I was like, okay.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Show you the after.
We still got half a year more. For the year to finish. Yeah, work on it, man. So we like to end, do you usually I like to ask what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Yep.
You've dropped a lot of wisdom on this pod. But what was the best advice you've ever?
I think that I can go and try to search off Google and try to give you something inspirational, but I think I'm a very practical person.
Yeah.
Right. And in all aspects of whether your life, your family, or your business, right? In all the stories I've heard from all of you as well, it's really about progress and appreciating the journey. Having the perseverance to stay in it, right? I look at the photos, right? Look, 130, 120 kg, right? If you don't have the perseverance, and if you cannot appreciate the process, right, you have given up a long time, right? And my own challenge of whether my depressive episodes and all that was only because I was chasing the perfection that never existed, and hearing from all your stories, looking at my own journey as well, right, is that if we can persevere and we can enjoy the progress, right, I think that would be as simple as it is.
Enjoy the process,
Really, really enjoy the process. Avoid looking for the destination, and then sometimes you look back nostalgically and you're like, oh shit, man, how far I've come, right? Like I said, just 2 of you here today, and soon The next time I come back, right, this guy as well. Right?
episode, let's
yeah,
go.
future episode, right? So that's also basically the journey of Mamee, right?
Yeah.
Where we started in the early days of 1997, where like selling instant noodles, selling snacks was very relevant back then. Still relevant, because I truly believe that a balanced life is one where sometimes you indulge, sometimes you need to focus on your nutrition, sometimes you have to focus on the disciplines of life and all that, right? But ultimately, you should not live in two extremes, too hardcore or too unhardcore, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, there's always a role for snacks, instant noodles as a form of indulgence. But ultimately, to be truly relevant, we have to also be in the space of nutrition, wellness, etc. But our role is to democratize it, to make it accessible for all, right? So there'll be certain people that do very well in the premium end. Our job, our DNA is taking something that looks premium but make it mass available, or to the point where you don't even realize that this was a premium product. And then at that point, we've done well for ourselves. Yeah. So that's our evolution,
Yeah.
So in our business, in myself, I really respect the idea of progress over perfection.
Awesome. Blue, any comment?
Rah, rah, rah.
No? Okay. You sure? You want to give a shout out to your girlfriend?
Girlfriend long gone, missing already.
Girlfriend now auntie already, bro.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. So shout out to Mamee, shout out Mr. Potato, and
all the
association.
yeah. Now you all know. Now you all know how
big
big
Mamee
of a monster they are. World domination.
Such
I
a
love
bad
it.
joke.
Yeah, I know. I love this world domination that is happening. Beautiful.
especially from a Malaysian company, small local company.
Yeah,
last time.
and nobody is shouting about it. I think now that you're doing a good job going on pods and telling people,
Correct.
I think it's a very, very, very inspiring story. And yeah, I hope more Malaysians will support. Let's bring it up to more than 30 million packets a month.
Yep.
Yeah. So and also don't forget all the other products lah.
Support Heal.
Yeah, Heal.
Yeah.
So Heal is available in a lot of
Pharmacies.
Yeah.
Some premium
Grocery
supermarkets.
stores.
Yep.
So it's matcha latte protein shake. This is pretty crazy.
It will be the
Which one
best
lah, bro?
tasting protein shake you ever tried. Yeah.
Then got signature chocolate protein shake.
Chocolate is a good form of recovery,
Yes.
by the way. After that,
Awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. I
Thank you
appreciate
guys. Really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you for
it. Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.